Uncover the heartbreaking fate of 35 silver screen titans who lost their battles with lung cancer, silencing their voices far too soon despite their legendary status. Number 1. Humphrey Bogart, 1899 to 1957. Considered one of the absolute giants of American film, Bogart left a mark on Hollywood that can never be erased. Born Christmas Day, 1899 in New York, he cemented his status as a legend with masterpieces like Casablanca, The Maltese Falcon, and The African Queen. Known for his gravelly voice and hard-boiled persona, he held the entire world in the palm of his hand. Starting on the Broadway stage in the 20s, he shifted to the silver screen in the 30s, breaking out in The Petrified Forest in 1936. He evolved into a true icon, delivering hit after hit. Sadly, years of heavy smoking resulted in esophageal cancer that eventually invaded his lungs. Despite multiple surgeries and interventions, he began to fade away. On January 14, 1957, he died at 57, leaving his wife Lauren Bacall and children behind. Yet, on Legacy Unmasked, we see his star still shines. Number 2. Gary Cooper, 1901 to 1961, the ultimate symbol of quiet strength. Cooper was born Frank James Cooper on May 7, 1901 in Montana. Growing up on a ranch, his authentic, rugged nature translated perfectly to the screen, making him a hero audiences could truly believe in. He started as a stunt rider in the silent era of the 20s, but exploded in popularity when sound arrived. He became a superstar with the Virginian in 1929, leading to classics like High Noon, 1952, Sergeant York in 1941, and Mr. Deeds Goes to Town in 1936. His understated style won him 2 Best Actor Oscars. However, a lifetime of smoking caught up with him when he was diagnosed with lung cancer in 1960, which metastasized to his bones. He kept his suffering private with immense dignity. Cooper died on May 13, 1961, days after his 60th birthday, leaving an unshakable footprint on cinema history. Number 3. Clark Gable, 1901 to 1960. Hailed as the king of Hollywood, Gable was the defining male lead of his generation. Born February 1, 1901 in Ohio, his undeniable charisma and rugged charm made him a box office sensation. His career skyrocketed with It Happened One Night in 1934, winning him an Academy Award, though he is best remembered as the dashing Rhett Butler in 1939's Gone with the Wind. Gable headlined more than 60 movies, sharing the screen with icons like Joan Crawford, Jean Harlow, and Vivian Leigh. His private life saw tragedy, notably the plane crash death of his wife Carol Lombard. He later served with distinction in the Air Forces. A heavy smoker, his health declined rapidly in the 50s. Days after finishing The Misfits in 1961, a heart attack and subsequent complications took his life on November 16, 1960 at 59. He remains the gold standard for leading men. Number 4. Steve McQueen, 1930 to 1980. The King of Cool remains one of the most magnetic stars of the mid-20th century. Born March 24, 1930 in Indiana, McQueen overcame a rough upbringing to discover acting, quickly becoming the poster boy for anti-hero rebellion. He dominated the 60s with hits like The Magnificent Seven in 1960, The Great Escape in 63, and Bullet in 68, famous for doing his own high-octane stunts on wheels. A chain smoker, McQueen developed pleural mesothelioma, an aggressive cancer caused by asbestos. While smoking may not have been the sole cause, it severely compromised his lungs. Despite attempting alternative treatments in Mexico, he could not beat the disease. He died on November 7, 1980, at just 50 years old following surgery. McQueen's legend endures, his films and rebellious attitude continuing to inspire new generations, securing his spot in the pantheon of Hollywood greats. Number 5. Yul Brynner, 1920 to 1985. Famous for his intense gaze and shaved head, Brynner was born July 11, 1920 in Vladivostok. He lived a nomadic early life in China, France, and America before hitting the stage. His signature role was King Mongkut in The King, and I, a performance that snagged him a Tony and later an Oscar for the 1956 film adaptation. He also led cast lists in The Ten Commandments, Anastasia, and The Magnificent Seven. Brenner smoked heavily for years, and in 1983, doctors found a tumor on his lung. Even while sick, he refused to stop performing until the very end. Knowing his time was short, he filmed a haunting public service announcement, begging the world not to smoke. Brenner died on October 10, 1985 at 65. His artistic contributions remain huge, but his final warning against tobacco is perhaps his most powerful legacy. Number 6. Robert Taylor, 1911 to 1969. As one of MGM's most dependable stars, Taylor was celebrated for his flawless features. Born Spangler, Arlington, Bra on August 5, 1911. In Nebraska, he pursued music before signing with MGM in the early 30s. He became a staple of the golden era, shining in Camille 1936, Waterloo Bridge in 1940, and Quo Vadis in 1951. Taylor's versatility allowed him to excel in everything from romances and epics to gritty westerns. While his career was stellar, his personal life was complex, including a high-voltage marriage to Barbara Stanwyck that ended in divorce. He eventually remarried Ursula Thies and started a family. A committed smoker, Taylor faced a lung cancer diagnosis in 1968. Surgery failed to save him, and he declined, quickly dying on June 8, 1969 at 57. His memory lives on through his timeless characters. Number 7. John Wayne, 1907 to 1979. The Duke stands tall as the ultimate American icon, born Marion Robert Morrison on May 26, 1907 in Iowa. Wayne lost a football scholarship at USC, which led him accidentally into movies. His star rose with Stagecoach in 1939, and for 40 years he ruled the box office in westerns and war flicks like The Searcher's True Grit and The Quiet Man. The embodiment of rugged individualism, Wayne represented the American spirit, finally winning an Oscar for True Grit. A heavy smoker, he lost a lung to cancer in 1964 but survived. However, the disease returned as stomach cancer, claiming his life on June 11, 1979. His shadow still looms large over pop culture. Number 8. Edward G. Robinson, 1893 to 1973. A master of playing both gangsters and good guys, Robinson was a titan of the era. Born in Bucharest on December 12, 1893, he arrived in America as a boy. Raised in New York, he attended dramatic art school where he discovered his calling. Robinson became a household name. In the 30s, playing hard-edged mobsters in films like Little Caesar, though his career stretched 50 years with hits like Double Indemnity and Key Largo. A lifelong smoker, he was stricken with lung cancer in the early 70s. Even while dying, he gave a final brilliant performance in Soylent Green before passing on January 26, 1973. The Academy finally honored his massive contribution to cinema with a posthumous award. Number 9. Betty Grable, 1916 to 1973. The ultimate World War II pinup girl, she was an adored entertainer. Born Elizabeth Ruth. Born in St. Louis on December 18, 1916, she kicked off her Hollywood journey as a dancer and actress back in the 30s. However, her real explosion onto the scene happened in the 40s with hit musicals like Down, Argentine Way in 1940, Moon Over Miami in 41, and Springtime in the Rockies the year after. With $1 million smile and legendary legs insured for that exact amount, she became a massive box office sensation. Throughout the war, her photo serving as the ultimate morale booster for American troops. While her silver screen dominance faded by the 50s, she stayed relevant through stage work and television. A heavy smoker all her life, she eventually succumbed to lung cancer on July 2, 1973 at the age of 56. Her memory as a beacon of wartime optimism lives on. Number 10. Jack Carson. Spanning 1910 to 1963. Carson was a beloved staple of the American screen, celebrated for his incredible range during the Golden Age. A Milwaukee native born on October 27, 1910, he attended the University of Michigan before chasing stardom in Hollywood. After signing with Warner Brothers in 1938, he quickly became a familiar face in theaters. Carson had a rare gift excelling in comedy while being equally powerful in serious drama. With over 90 credits to his name, including Mildred Pierce in 1945, Arsenic and Old Lace in 44, and The Sea of Grass in 47, He proved his worth time and again. His knack for shifting effortlessly between genres made him a favorite of both audiences and directors. Sadly, a lung cancer diagnosis in the early 60s signaled the end. His health failed, yet he kept working as long as he could. He died on January 2, 1963 at 52. His mark on the industry remains fondly remembered. Number 11. Charles Boyer, 1899 to 1978. This French icon became one of Hollywood's premier leading men. Born in Figeac, France on August 28th, 1899, Boyer honed his craft on the stage before crossing the Atlantic in the 30s. His sophisticated European vibe quickly charmed American moviegoers. He became the face of romance in films like 1938's Algiers, 39's Love Affair, and 44's Gaslight, the latter earning him an Academy Award nomination. He wasn't just a lover on screen, though. He dazzled in comedies, too. Yet his life wasn't without darkness. The narrative took a grim turn in 1943 with the reported suicide of his wife, Patricia. A dedicated smoker, Boyer developed lung cancer in the 70s, leading to his death on August 26, 1978, just days before turning 79. He is remembered as a master of both romance and drama. Number 12. Robert Ryan, 1909 to 1973. Ryan was a powerhouse capable of playing terrifying villains and heartbreaking heroes with equal skill. Born in Chicago on November 11, 1909, he went to Dartmouth before turning to acting. With his gravelly voice and intense look, he was impossible to ignore. His career stretched over 30 years, featuring hits like Crossfire in 1947, which got him an Oscar nod, The Setup in 49, and 1969's The Wild Bunch. He often played men, wrestling with their conscience, bringing a complex emotional weight to every performance. Off-screen, he was a fierce fighter for civil rights. Even after a lung cancer diagnosis in the early 70s, he didn't stop working. Ryan passed away on July 11, 1973, at 63. He left behind a legacy of intense artistry and social activism. Number 13. Lee J. Cobb, 1911 to 1976. Cobb was a titan of acting known for his commanding presence across film, TV, and the stage. Born in New York City on December 8, 1911, he first made his name in the theater, blowing audiences away in productions like Death of a Salesman. That stage success paved the way for a prolific run in Hollywood starting in the 40s. He is perhaps best known for playing the corrupt union boss, Johnny Friendly, in 1954's On the Waterfront, a role that snagged him an Oscar nomination. He also gave a legendary performance in 12 Angry Men as juror number 3, a man battling his own deep-seated bias. Famous for his booming voice, he was the ultimate character actor. However, years of smoking caught up with him, leading to lung cancer. He kept performing right up until his death on February 11, 1976 at 64. His powerful screen presence is never forgotten. Number 14. Gig Young, a gifted performer known for his range. In movies and TV, Young died on October 19, 1978 at age 64. The cause was complications from lung cancer, the result of a lifetime of smoking. His career lasted decades, highlighted by his Oscar-winning turn in They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Yet his professional heights were often marred by personal demons, including battles with the bottle and rocky relationships. Despite his stardom, his health crashed in his later years due to cigarettes. His death was a jolt to the system, as he had stayed active until the very end. Gig Young's story is a tragic warning about the dangers of tobacco, but his work in the golden age remains stellar. Number 15. Chill Wills, a distinctive American actor famous for The Alamo and Giant. Wills died on December 15, 1978 at 70. The cause was lung cancer tied to his heavy smoking. With a voice like gravel and a personality to match, he was a Hollywood staple, usually cast as the wise or tough authority figure. For over 50 years, he was the go-to character actor for westerns and dramas. But that success couldn't protect him from the consequences of chain smoking. His diagnosis was grim, and his loss was felt deeply in an industry where he was so loved. Like so many of his generation, Will's fate stands as a stark reminder of the risks of smoking. Still, his reputation as a unique and unforgettable talent lives on. Number 16, Broderick Crawford. Famous for his hard-nosed roles in All the King's Men and Born Yesterday, Crawford died on April 26, 1986 at 73. Lung cancer, stemming from years of smoking, was the culprit. In a career that covered half a century, Crawford was one of the screen's most distinct faces, often playing the heavy or the lawman. His raspy voice and bulldog look made him a star on big and small screens alike. But by the 80s, his body began to fail, and the cigarettes took their payment. Like countless others from that era, his cancer was the direct result of his habit. His passing underscored the lethal nature of smoking, a vice that decimated the ranks of Hollywood's finest. Despite the tragic end, his cinematic impact is undeniable, ensuring his name won't be forgotten. Number 17, Brian Donlevy. Celebrated for The Great McGinty and Beau Geste. He died on April 5, 1972 at 71. Lung cancer caused by decades of smoking claimed him. For over 30 years, Donlevy was the guy you called for tough, gritty roles. He hit his stride in the 30s and 40s, booked for his stern voice and no-nonsense vibe. Everyone on the lot knew he was a smoker. Like many peers, he lit up constantly between takes. Sadly, that lifestyle led to inevitable health struggles, and the cancer diagnosis came as no surprise. Even as he faded, Donlevy kept working. His death serves as another somber lesson, but his legacy remains unmasked through his memorable performances in classic cinema. 18. Paul Mooney. A powerhouse performer celebrated for Scarface and the story of Louis Pasteur. Mooney took his final bow on August 25, 1967. He was 69. Lung cancer claimed him, a direct result of his lifetime relationship with tobacco. Mooney's career was legendary, spanning decades. He was a pioneer of method acting, snagging an Oscar for The Life of Emile Zola. He had an uncanny knack for disappearing into complicated, tortured roles. However, that intense dedication to his art was fueled by a chain-smoking addiction that slowly eroded his vitality. By the 1960s, his physical state had deteriorated, significantly due to the cigarettes, culminating in a terminal diagnosis. Even as his body failed, Mooney fought to stay on screen until he physically couldn't. His passing serves as a stark warning about the dangers of smoking, yet his brilliance remains untouchable, immortalized in a filmography that still teaches masterclasses in acting. 19. Wallace Beery. A titan of the silver screen, Beery left us on April 15, 1949, aged 64. While a heart attack was the official cause, years of heavy smoking had already wrecked his system. Dominating films like The Champ and Grand Hotel, he was arguably MGM's biggest ticket seller during the 30s and 40s. Audiences adored his signature style, rough around the edges but soft on the inside. That unique charm won him Best Actor for The Champ, locking in his status as a cinema legend. But like so many stars of that era, Beery lived through a haze of smoke. Even though the medical world hadn't fully connected cigarettes to lung cancer back then, his deteriorating condition was a clear sign of tobacco's toll. Still, his impact on the industry remains absolutely undeniable. 20. Lionel Barrymore. This esteemed veteran of the Golden Age departed on November 15, 1954 at 76. Heart failure took him, but severe emphysema and respiratory failure driven by a lifetime of smoking had already ravaged his body. Born into acting royalty, he is best remembered for It's a Wonderful Life and a Free Soul. Barrymore spent over 50 years in the spotlight, celebrated for bringing incredible nuance to every character he touched. Even after being confined to a wheelchair later in life, his commanding voice and presence never wavered. Unfortunately, he shared the common vice of his peers. He was a chain smoker. That addiction led to the emphysema that ultimately hastened his end. Today, his name is synonymous with acting greatness, and his performances remain essential viewing. 21. Spencer Tracy. A true heavyweight of the industry. Tracy died on June 10, 1967 at 67. While his heart gave out, his lungs had been destroyed by decades of smoking and Related complications. Revered for his effortless natural style, he anchored masterpieces like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner Judgment at Nuremberg and Captain's Courageous, earning 2 Academy Awards along the way. Tracy didn't just act. He existed in the moment, bringing a rare truth to the screen. Sadly, his personal life was battled by demons specifically heavy, alcohol use and constant cigarette consumption. Despite his failing body, he rallied for one last heart-wrenching turn in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, hitting theaters after he was gone. Tracy's influence is permanent, setting the gold standard for natural performance that actors still strive for today. 22. Frederick March. This dual Oscar winner left us on April 14, 1975 at 77. Prostate cancer was the immediate cause, but he also fought serious lung ailments stemming from years of tobacco dependency. March's incredible run lasted 4 decades, featuring heavy hitters like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The best years of our lives and Inherit the Wind. He was that rare breed of talent who could dominate a Broadway stage just as easily as a movie set. Colleagues respected him for his intense discipline and artistic integrity. Yet he wasn't immune to the era's smoking culture, which compromised his breathing in his twilight years. Even with these hurdles, March continued to work with dignity, carving out a permanent spot in cinema history. His work remains a beacon of excellence for aspiring performers. 23. Ray Milland. This Welsh icon, famous for his Oscar-winning turn in The Lost Weekend, died on March 10, 1986 at 79. The cause was lung cancer, the result of a lifelong habit. Milland had a massive Hollywood footprint, shining in thrillers like Dial M for Murder and comedies like The Major and The Minor. He was the definition of debonair, easily switching between lighthearted and dark material. His chilling performance as a desperate alcoholic in The Lost Weekend is still legendary. Ironically, while he portrayed addiction on screen, he battled nicotine addiction in real life. As his health faded, he kept working in TV and film right up to the end. His passing underscored the lethal price of smoking, but his vast library of films ensures he will never be forgotten. 24. James Cagney, a true Hollywood. Titan Cagney took his final bow on March 30th, 1986 at 86. While a heart attack took him, he had long suffered from emphysema caused by years of smoking. Famous for his electric energy, he gave us classics like the Public Enemy Yankee Doodle Dandy and the explosive White Heat. He even snagged an Oscar for singing and dancing in Yankee Doodle Dandy. Over a career spanning 50 years, he defined the gangster archetype while secretly being a world-class hoofer. Although he eventually kicked the cigarettes, the lung damage was irreversible. Defying the odds, Cagney returned from retirement for a triumphant role in 1981's Ragtime. His departure closed a major chapter in film history, but his explosive talent continues to electrify screens. 25. William Powell, best known as the Suave. Nick Charles, in the Thin Man movies. Powell passed on March 5, 1984 at 91. Though heart failure was the cause, he had previously fought lung cancer linked to smoking. Despite medical setbacks, he gave us 30 years of gold, including My Man Godfrey and Life with Father. Celebrated for his razor-sharp wit and urbanity, his partnership with Myrna Loy remains the gold standard for on-screen couples. A heavy smoker, Powell was a survivor. He beat rectal cancer in the 30s and later battled lung issues while keeping his career afloat. He eventually retired gracefully in the 50s, spending decades in peace with his third wife, Diana Lewis. His sophisticated legacy lives on. 26. Errol Flynn, the ultimate swashbuckler star of The Adventures of Robin Hood and Captain Blood, died on October 14, 1959. He was only 50. A massive heart attack claimed him. The medical report was a catalog of abuse, liver cirrhosis, and destroyed lungs, the cost of relentless drinking and smoking. Flynn was the original Hollywood bad boy, handsome, athletic, and utterly magnetic. But he lived his real life as recklessly as his pirate characters, consuming alcohol and tobacco with abandon. By his late 40s, the party was over. His body was shutting down. He kept working, but his sudden death stunned the world, cutting short a dazzling career. Flynn's story remains immortal, standing as both a testament to star power and a tragic warning against excess. 27. Tyrone Power. This dashing leading man died on November 15, 1958, at just 44. Tragedy struck on set in Spain. He suffered a fatal heart attack while filming a sword fight for Solomon and Sheba. Subscribe to Legacy Unmasked for more stories. Although the heart attack was the final blow, decades of chain smoking had already ravaged his system, taking a severe toll on his heart. Famous for his magnetic turns in movies, such as The Mark of Zorro, Blood and Sand, and Witness for the Prosecution Power, was a genuine matinee idol with electric charisma, even as exhaustion plagued his final days. He refused to slow down, working himself into the ground. His abrupt death sent shockwaves through fans and studio executives alike. Power's body of work remains timeless, standing as a stark warning about the dangers of nicotine and burnout. Number 28. Van Heflin. This versatile talent, celebrated for hits like Shane and Johnny Eager, died on July 23, 1971 at 62. A heart attack claimed him. His lifelong addiction to cigarettes was widely blamed for wrecking his cardiovascular health. Heflin gave 3 decades to the screen, snagging an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in Johnny Eager. He had a rare gift for playing layered, messy characters, whether he was the lead or the sidekick. Like most guys in his circle, Heflin was a heavy smoker of vice that inevitably caught up with him. Even as his body began to fail him later on, Heflin stayed in front of the camera. His passing was a blow to Hollywood, but his memory lives on in his reels. Number 29. Alan Ladd. The American icon behind Shane and This Gun for Hire died on January 29, 1964 at just 50. His death was ruled an overdose of sedatives, but his history of heavy smoking and failing health certainly pushed him toward that early grave. Ladd was the ultimate tough guy, known for his steely gaze. Shane turned him into a legend, cementing his image as the silent, heroic type. Off-screen, however, he was battling demons. Alcoholism, anxiety, and chain smoking were destroying him from the inside. Through the struggle, Ladd kept making movies across every genre. His tragic end stunned the business, yet his story continues on through those unforgettable roles that still hook viewers today. Number 30. Dana Andrews, the face of Laura and The Best Years of Our Lives, died on December 17, 1992, at 83 from heart failure. He had also been fighting lung cancer near the end, a direct result of his smoking habit. Andrews had a killer run stretching from the 40s to the 70s, usually playing conflicted, morally gray souls in noir and drama. His work in Laura is still considered top tier for the genre. Like so many of his contemporaries, Andrews was a smoker, which was just part of the Hollywood culture back then. Despite his health battles, Andrews lived life on his own terms. His legacy remains untouchable, celebrated by critics and movie buffs everywhere. Number 31. Joel McCrea. A giant of westerns and adventure flicks like The Virginian and Ride the High Country, he passed away on October 20, 1990 at 84. Complications from lung cancer caused by years of smoking finally took him. His career lasted over 50 years, making him a treasured pillar of the golden age. With his rugged good looks, McCrea was the go-to cowboy hero or the trusty leading man. He survived the jump from silent movies to talkies and worked with legends like Preston Sturges. While McCrea played the brave hero on set, he kept his private world strictly quiet. A lifelong smoker, his lungs eventually gave out. Even while sick, McCrea kept showing up for film and TV gigs. Here at Legacy Unmasked, we remember how his classic roles continue to inspire. Number 32. Robert Mitchum, known for his bad boy persona in hits like Out of the Past and The Night of the Hunter. He died July 1, 1997 at 79. Lung cancer complications, his smoking habit, which he never tried to hide, was a huge factor in his decline. The king of film noir, Mitchum was famous for his sleepy eyes, deep voice, and effortless cool. His career covered 5 decades with over 100 credits, where he often played deep, complicated souls. Even though he was typecast in noir and westerns, Mitchum commanded respect from everyone. He kept grinding in movies and TV until he physically couldn't anymore. His death was a massive loss, but his influence is still felt in cinema today. Number 33. Richard Widmark, the star of Kiss of Death, Judgment at Nuremberg, and How the West Was Won, died March 24, 2008 at 93. While they said it was natural causes, his years of smoking left him with emphysema and lung issues that definitely sped up the end. Widmark worked for over 6 decades. He started out playing terrifying villains like that giggling psychopath in Kiss of Death. His knack for digging into human psychology made him incredibly versatile. As time went on, he switched to playing the good guys, getting rave reviews for films like Judgment at Nuremberg. Despite the health issues, Widmark stayed active in the business. His death closed the book on a wild career, but his iconic roles live on. Number 34. Glenn Ford, this diverse talent famous for Gilda. The Big Heat in Superman died on August 30th, 2006 at 90. A heart attack took him, but Ford had been battling lung cancer in his final years, a disease tied to his lifetime of smoking. Ford had a 50-year run, and he could switch genres effortlessly, crushing it in both westerns and gritty noir. His chemistry in Gilda with Rita Hayworth is still legendary, and he kept that momentum going right through the 1950s and 60s. Although he was the classic leading man, Ford had a subtle style that made him unique. Like his buddies in the industry, Ford was hooked on cigarettes, which eventually led to the cancer. Despite the diagnosis, he stayed pretty active, popping up in various TV shows and movies. His final years were tough health-wise, but his impact on the movies was celebrated right to the end. Glenn Ford's work remains a massive monument to his range and skill. His movies are still loved by fans, ensuring his spot in Hollywood history is secure. Number 35. John Huston. The acclaimed director and actor behind masterpieces like The Maltese Falcon, The African Queen, and The Treasure of the Sierra Madre died on August 28, 1987 at 81. Emphysema took him, a lung disease directly caused by his years of chain smoking. Huston's footprint on Hollywood was massive. As a director, he built careers and was famous for his raw, honest look at human nature. He had that distinct gravelly voice and a powerful aura, making him a scene stealer in movies like The Misfits and Chinatown. As a director, he wove together tales of danger, deep mental struggles, and shady protagonists, establishing himself as a true titan of the industry during his prime. Although his physical strength waned in his twilight years, he never quit working. But his heavy smoking habit demanded a price, triggering the emphysema that finally drew the curtains on his life. Losing him meant the end of an era for Tinseltown. John Huston's memory is preserved not merely by his famous blockbusters, but by his powerhouse talent on both sides of the camera. His genius shapes the art form even now, ensuring his projects stay relevant forever. Thanks for joining us. Please like the video and subscribe to Legacy Unmasked.